Hey, everybody, this is Tony, and I'm here today with a special guest, other than, the amazing singer herself, singer, writer, producer, pianist, all of that great stuff. Sheléa, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here. I have to tell you, there's very few people and very few times that I see somebody that I'm just like, this person is really amazing.
Oh,
Because you can really just sing anything, you can really do any style. How is it possible?
you know what? I tell people all the time, I do a lot of listening. I
Mm,
actually do more listening than singing, and
wow.
I'm one of those people who, I'm not singing around the house and
Hmm.
I'm listening. I'm sharpening that ear, and so I just feel like when you expose yourself to so many genres and so many different artists out there throughout the years, I think it makes you a stronger singer and it allows you to kind of wade in a lot of different waters.
Yeah. But I love that you can really be versatile without sounding like, you're that's not your area. You can really sing like jazz, R&B, gospel, and all of this and still fit right in and be fine. Like that's the amazing part about it because everybody can't do that. Like
Oh,
you have some people who have great voices, don't get me wrong, but they can't sing every kind of genre there is. You might have somebody who can only just sing jazz songs. Like that's their place. They can only sing.
yeah,
But
no,
you got
absolutely.
it.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. I really appreciate that. I will tell you, I think, you know, thank you for applauding that. But I think in
Yeah.
the industry, there has been such thing. I don't know if I'm making this term up, but
Hmm.
almost genre confusion.
Hmm.
Who is Sheléa?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've fought really hard to be able to say, well, I am all of these things. Like, yes,
Right.
I'll do, I'll perform with the full orchestra, big band, and then turn around and perform with the choir, and all of those things are part of me, and it's been really hard to kind of shed any one part because
Hmm.
they're all a part of me. But I will say, I think the core of me, very much like Riri, very much like Whitney, who you were going to wear today,
Yes.
we're church girls at heart.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you're always going to hear that soulfulness, that soulful approach, very much how Aretha brought that soulfulness to classical music, you
That's
know,
right.
going to the Grammys when she was filling in for Andrea Bocelli. It's like she was still Aretha, but she was still authentic in that moment. And so
Yes.
I think that's the key word, I think, for me is really finding that authenticity. And for that, you have to study. For that, you have to listen and be aware of what genre you're in and still be able to bring who you are to it and yet still be able to fit into that genre and respect what makes that genre special.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's very important. And matter of fact, you summed that up very nicely. So thank
Oh,
you for
thank
that.
you.
But let me ask you this. Is it because every artist, every person who has a craft, of course, wants to do what they love and, of course, have somebody out there say, you know what, I love what you do or I like what you do.
Mhm.
Um, when you become an artist, though, most people on the outside, I would say, look in and say, you want to be the next Aretha or the next Whitney or the next whoever, you want to hit it big. But is that necessarily where you are today as far as, being an artist, trying to, create something or make it to a certain place? Or are you just there to, spread what you have as a gift and then, whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, I love how you said that. Spread what you have as a gift. that. That is where I am. But I think if we're all honest with ourselves, I think
Yes.
that there's this kind of dichotomy of both.
Yeah.
You do have certain benchmarks that you want to meet. There's certain things, I think, just how we are just raised in society. I mean, you do 6 years, that's elementary, and then you go to middle schools, and then you go to high school and college, and then you get to the music industry and you realize it's not like that.
Right.
It's not like that. And so, I have been able to use my gift effectively for
Mm.
many, many years now. And that is how I see success.
Yeah.
I still have a very childlike love for what I do. I see that as success. Now, do I have goals and dreams and aspirations? Absolutely. But I feel like when I'm most at peace, when I am the happiest and even content,
Mm-hmm.
is being able to be grateful for what I am experiencing right now.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's the place I like to live. Do I ever have moments, where like, oh man, am I frustrated that,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes that kind of comes from outside,
Right.
like people, they are trying to give me the biggest compliment when they say this. And I really do receive it as such. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it does create anxiety and they'll say, I just don't understand why you're not a household name, you know? And part of me, there was a time, I don't feel it as much, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
time where I felt like I was letting people down. And I'm like,
Mm.
man, I'm not where they think I should be, even though I am having fun. I mean, I tell people all the time, whether or not I am performing at the White House or performing at my little church on 108th and Figueroa in Watts, LA, it all feels the same to me. It
Yeah.
really does, because again, by God's grace, I've been able to hold on to that love, that pure, genuine love. But yeah, I mean, I think that there are times where I do feel like, man, I'm not where other people think I should be. And then you start to look inward. We'll say, okay, well, why is that? And you start to try to break things down. Well, is it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this? Is it that? And so
Yeah.
I do think that you can be constructive and try to figure out what is lacking, but just don't live there, because I think
Right.
that's what I think makes you feel anxious,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
anxiety. And when you're making decisions out of anxiety, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, you know what, matter of fact, it's so easy to get in a place like that, because
Woo!
sometimes you don't even realize it when you're doing it. And you're like, okay, I need to be here. I need to be there. I need to do this. I need to do that. How can I be bigger? Or how can what can I do to, and then you're like, hold on, let me just think about all that I have done already, and be thankful, for that alone. Because I tell you, no lie, half the time we worry about that kind of stuff, but half the people in the world probably haven't done a quarter of what we've already done. And
That's
we're
true.
there stressing, trying to do more, or trying to see how we can push for this or for that. And it's like, just sit in that moment and be thankful. Like, okay, I've already done all this stuff, so I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily done, but I'm good with what I have done so far. So it's easy to get in that place. So you have to learn how to bring your mind back and say, hold on, I know what you're saying, but right now, no.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it's a daily thing. I mean,
Yeah,
you have to really pay attention to your spirit and to your mind, what you are rehearsing in your mind, your thoughts, how you're speaking to yourself.
absolutely.
And I always say, like, you can't complain and be grateful at the same time.
That's right.
And so I think you just have to, it's a choice though. You have to choose gratefulness. And
Yeah,
that's what I try to do. Even in the face of disappointment, I have tried to gratefulness.
yeah. You have to have something to be able to keep you grounded,
Yeah.
and to be able to keep you sane a lot of times. And I think gratefulness is something that helps us be able to say, you know what, I might be upset today because I didn't get this or that, but I
Yeah.
already have this. I'm alive. Let me start there.
Hey, come
So-
on now.
So you get that kind of that gratefulness that keeps you where you need to be a lot of times. So thank God for that. But I don't think people have realized all the work that you have put in, though. Some of it I didn't even realize, and I followed you. I won't say down to the T, but I have followed you for a while, and I didn't even realize that you had done the theme song for All of Us all this time, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's been that long.
Mama's been true to this.
Yeah.
That's the thing. In some ways, it's like I feel like I'm just beginning in some ways,
Mhm.
But then in other ways, it's like, man, I've been grinding for a while, and I again, like I said, I've been able to use my gift and make a living for a while now, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah,
Yeah.
all of us, and I wrote the theme song for Jumping the Broom. Some people don't know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I've done a few little things. I've done a few things.
I love it. I love it. But would you say, so of course all of us was a while ago, over probably what 15, 20 years now.
Yeah.
I'm not good with time, so don't ask those. I do time frames, not times.
Hey, all right now.
But would you say like Jumping the Broom probably was where the break happened for you? Or what would you say that was? I would ask that.
That's a good break. Honestly, I'm still looking for a break. I think the breaks keep happening.
Yeah.
I really do. I kind of consider my first break was when I was on this incredible Grammy Award winning, multi-Grammy Award winning group, Take Six,
Mm-hmm.
on their album, Grammy nominated, Someone to Watch Over Me. That was the song that I sang on their album. And so Stevie Wonder heard it.
Yeah.
And immediately, he wanted to meet me. And so we connected, and I ended up, singing for his House Full of Toys, his annual Christmas show that he does in LA. And then a little bit later that led to some other things. And, of course, he's become such an angel in my life. He's been on both of my albums, the title tracks, doing
Right.
Pretty World, the tribute to Alan and Marilyn Bergman. He was on the title track, and then he was on Love Fell on Me, the song that I did for Jumping the Broom. He played on that as well. But so that was kind of like my first kind of big break, I feel like, in a way,
Yeah.
But then I feel like the Whitney tribute was also kind of like another opportunity that was like a breakthrough.
Yeah.
This was 2012, when she passed, and I did this, I just sat at a keyboard one day at one of my beloved friends and collaborators, Tony Shepard's home, and just went through just all of my favorite songs of hers, and it ended up becoming viral,
Yeah.
and so many of her friends, her family, her dancers, singers, musicians, best friend, Pebbles. I mean, they all reached out to me, and it's funny because Stevie someone had told him, there's this girl sitting at the keyboard. Her name is Sheléa. They struggling with my name. He was like,
Right.
So I remember I hadn't heard from him in a while, and then he called me after he had seen that or he had heard that tribute,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of like reopened our communication again, and that's when I actually performed for the White House. It was later on during that time, and so there was just a lot of different things that I think kind of I could consider my big break. I think Jumping the Broom definitely showed me as a writer, and composer, because they really used that song really as a score throughout the movie. And then they used it finally in the title track. So it was used about 4 or 5 times throughout the film, and then at the end credits. And so that was a really important moment for me, because it was, really believing the song was good enough to be used in that way in a film.
Right.
A quick shout out to Salim Akil, for really loving and connecting with that song. So yeah, I would say I'm still looking for my big break.
I love it. Well, let me just say this for people who might not know you. You really have done a lot and performed and got cosigns from people like Stevie Wonder and Quincy Jones, of course. Performed with people like David Foster and places like Carnegie Hall and the White House and numerous other places and people. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like, because
my living room, I act like it's my my family room in Bakersfield, California, where I grew up. Like, Honestly, and I will say this, that has not always been the case. I
Right.
think what happens is when you have done it for so long and you've done it so many times, I have truly become a master at what I do, just for the pure definition of doing it thousands of times, you know. And
Yeah.
so now it really does just feel like I'm just walking from my kitchen to the you know, let's do this, you know.
Exactly.
So I when I was in Carnegie Hall, I felt that. I feel at home now when I'm, you know, when I'm on stage. That's actually where I feel most like myself now.
That's amazing. And not only amazing to feel like that, but to be able to go in a place like Carnegie Hall, that so many, you know, tried to reach for and didn't even make it, especially back in the days. This was a place a lot of people was fighting to get, or in their career saying, if I just make it here, I've done it. You know, a lot of people died saying, if I can just do this. So it's amazing for you to be able to just walk in a room like that and own it and be like, you know what, I got this. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing in itself. Like, I don't, you care and I care, don't get me wrong, but I don't care if you sell another record. That right there is like it for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I care if you sell records, don't get me wrong, but.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so adorable. You sound like my dad. My dad says that to me all the time. He said, baby, the things you have done. That's how he's like, you could just stop. I mean, you know, honestly, I think about, people ask a lot, what was your proudest moment? There's been so many, but I think being able to take my dad with me to the White House to perform with President Obama and First Lady Michelle, that was a highlight of my life.
Yes.
You know, for so many reasons, you know, so many reasons. The fact that my grandmother, who was my on my dad's side, she'll be 91 this year.
All right, that's a blessing.
And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. And you know, she was in Birmingham, Alabama during all of the civil rights, and I knew that she would never think that she would ever see a day that we would have a Black president of the United States. And so, you know, I wanted to bring somebody that came from her body.
Yes.
You know, her son.
Yes.
Be able to dap him up, because they dapped up. The president of the United States up, you know. It was
that's how we do it, though. That's how we do
it. That's how we do it. We were literally the last ones, you know. They kind of did this receiving line. And I will never forget First Lady. She said, they saved the best for last. And she opened her arms and just embraced me. That's just a moment I will remember forever. And so, you know, they sent me, you know, all the pictures from that event. You know, First Lady Michelle and President Obama, they both signed it and wrote me a very sweet handwritten letter, signed it. And, you know, I gave all that to my grandma. My grandma has all that in her home, you know.
Oh, wow.
Because I just knew how meaningful that would be for her.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, though. That is really amazing. So I got a few things that I want to point out, because you have done like everything. So one of the things I do want to highlight, of course, is your acting debut in 2020 in the Clark Sisters movie, which you played Dorinda Clark Cole, of course, and you bodied the role, I gotta say.
Thank you so much.
Listen, I have to say this honestly. I don't tell people something to make them feel good. Like, you know, I'm not that kind of person. I might pat you on your shoulder to make you feel good, but I won't tell you something that's a lie to make you feel good. But
I like that, though, because you know what? People don't realize this. Your word has to mean something.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know what I mean? Especially in our industry, it's like if you're co-signing or you're praising somebody, it has to be legit. You know?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So I just wanted to interject that. So that's a plus. But
yeah. But just as somebody who has been a Clark Sisters fan, and watching them and hearing some of these stories we had heard already, but some of the stuff we didn't. But watching you play Dorinda and the other ladies, you know, play the ladies, it was something very immaculate, and I think it was so very much needed. And it was like a labor of love, just watching that. I did an interview with Angela, who played Jackie, of course. Yeah. We did one a while ago, but pretty much she was saying how the energy on set for her was just like, love. It was like, it wasn't like work. It was like work, but it wasn't work for you to be able to step into it because it was so, because of the energy there. For you, what was it like? I know it's probably similar, but what was it like for you during the whole experience of that whole thing?
I think I was very focused. I was very focused. This was my very first role, starring in something. I had like a small role in actually another very successful story about Lyndon B. Johnson and Martin Luther King. It was called, oh goodness, of course it's slipping me right now, but
right.
But it was played by Anthony Mackie. He was Martin Luther King, and I was kind of loosely almost Mahalia Jackson, and so I had a small role. But what's so incredible, I want to mention it. It's called All the Way.
Okay.
It aired on HBO. It got the Golden Globe Award, went to the one who played Lyndon B. Johnson, Bryan Cranston. It got multi Emmy nominations, and so it was a great film to be, to have my name associated with, and it gave me a little taste because I was singing live in that film. And little did I know that years later, I would be starring in a film singing live. And I mention that because a lot of times television nor these, big screen, big movies, they're not singing live. Even if the actors are great singers.
That's right.
They still do an overdub. But Christine Swanson, the director, she insisted, she dug her heels in the ground. We have to have live moments in this. And I think that was almost another character of the film, is the fact that people weren't realizing just that emotional tug that they were feeling during certain scenes was really because it was so authentic. It was raw. And I feel like that's what the Clark sisters represent, to be able to walk in a room flat-footed with no mic, no nothing, and then just break into song. That their sisters, they've been doing that since, as we saw in the movie, since they were wee babes, trained by Dr. Maddie now, honey.
That's right. Right.
So I actually, that spirit that Dr. Maddie had, I took that to heart, because this, again, like I said, this was my first one. So I didn't do a whole lot of horsing around. You know what I mean? Like I was in the zone. I was focused. I wanted to make sure I hit all my marks. I didn't want to be the weak link, and I feel like we were all very strong. But yeah, I had an incredible acting coach, Josie Harris, and she prepared me for everything. Everything that she said was going to happen or could happen, happened. So there were no surprises. There were a lot of revolving. It was a lot that was changing, even in the process of filming. A lot of dialogue that changed, and you really had to just be open and flow with it. So yeah. So I absolutely, it was one of the most, I really believe this. It was one of the most important films, I think, that we did. Come on, this is a story about 6 Black women. You don't, first of all, let's just stop there. You don't
exactly
a story about 6 Black women, let alone written by a Black woman, directed by a Black woman, produced by Black women, executive produced by Black women. So there was Black girl magic on every level. And so that was something absolutely I was keenly aware of, the whole time, and felt just so grateful to be a small part of.
Well, like I said, you definitely did what you came to do, because watching the movie, I really believed I was looking at Dorinda as you. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, these are people that I have watched, I have listened to, excuse me, and definitely trying to find a sound or to pick out notes and whatever it is. The gospel music is one of my favorite genres, so they definitely come, if not at the top, definitely around the top of my list. along with people like the Pace sisters and others.
Yes, may she
So
rest in peace. You know.
yeah, LaShawn Pitts just passed yesterday. Unfortunately, one of my favorites, especially with "I Know I've Been Changed."
Oh yes,
Like,
yes.
oh my God! But I love her song. He keeps on doing great things for me.
Yes.
Oh man,
Yes.
I just have to listen to that sometimes because I'm just like, let me just put this on because this is a song that really helps you feel grateful about where you are, no matter what.
I'm about to put that on when we get off this interview. How about
That's
that?
right. That's right.
But
That's
I
right.
do want to go back to the filming process, because before we even said one line, Donald Lawrence had us in the studio, and we were, really building the foundation vocally for everything that you guys heard in the film. And so that was really, I think, just such an incredible asset having Donald Lawrence a part of it. Because like you, he absolutely studied them and knew their sound, knows their sound like the back of his hand. And so, Dorinda, she has such a very specific way of singing. And so
she does.
Naturally, I have a little bit what Donald said, a little bit more bottom. And she has a lot more treble, and she sings like a horn.
Exactly.
It's like a horn player.
Yeah.
And so, we really work together very well to get to that very, very specific sound, to the point where when we put a little teaser up, everybody thought that was a Clark sister. No, ain't nobody near that. This is all the cast. There's nothing from the original Clark sisters. This was all us, and I do have to give those props to Donald, because he crosses every T, dots every I to just make sure that the sound was impeccable and very accurate.
Yeah. As soon as I seen one of the clips before the movie even came out, and I seen you guys singing, I said, well, they got A+ on this already, because they mastered the sound. And I watched that video, or it was a couple of videos, matter of fact. I watched those videos, and I'm like, they're singing this and they sound like the original track. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy to be able to embody a sound. A lot of people do tributes, don't get me wrong, to artists all the time. We see that all the time. You've even done some yourself, but you don't always see somebody sound exactly like a person or a group when they're singing their songs like that. You see that very few times.
That's so true. That's so true. That's so true. And I think, like, for instance, when I sing, tributes to Whitney Houston, probably most popular, known for that, and Shaka Khan, and I've done, Tony Braxton. A lot of those songs I do with David Foster on his tour. But I always say it's best to find the essence of them, because first of all, there will only be one Whitney, there will only be one Shaka, one Aretha.
That's right.
So you want to find that essence, find what that magic was that gave them that signature thing, but still make it your own. And I think for me, when I've done Whitney, the very first time I ever did a tribute to Whitney, like in front of an audience, I was scared to death. She had just passed, and Narada Michael Walden, who produced all of her early hits.
Yeah. Narada is one of the goats of producing and writing.
Absolutely. And he had written a book, and he had seen my tribute and asked if I would accompany him and at the Grammy Museum, and he did this presentation, about his book. And then afterward, we did like a 30-minute set of, all of those hits. And I remember I was shaking in my boots. Only because I know how people feel about Whitney,
Yeah.
It was still so fresh, it was really fresh. And so I remember afterward, and they just exploded, and afterward they were just loving on me. They said, "We love Whitney, and you have the spirit of Whitney." They said, "But we love Sheléa."
That's right.
And I feel like when you are giving tribute to someone, you have to kind of put it through that lens, because then it won't be, you're not you're not a replica. First of all, you can never be a replica.
Exactly.
You're not, you're able to bring your own spin, but they feel it. And so, but I do feel like with the Clark sisters, there was almost a certain level of mimicry where we were really trying to like match it.
Yeah.
Sound for sound, because we were actually portraying them, not just doing the show and singing one of their songs or a tribute to them, but the fact that we were actually portraying, like I was Dorinda. So I sure that I brought that same timbre, I couldn't bring the way I would approach a song. I had to think about what she does, the runs that she hears more on a jazzier horn-like approach. And so, and also, we also have very similar approaches as well. So it wasn't that far-fetched, but it did cause a little strain because she sings so specific, and after a while, I my voice was getting hard. It helped because she has that rasp. So
right.
It was all helping. It was all just working.
Yeah. When I heard you sing as Dorinda, it was one thing, but when I heard you sing outside of that, and I was like, how did she even master something like this? Because that's crazy to get this rasp down and sound totally different. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wow. So you really did an amazing job. The whole cast did an amazing job. If I never knew who the Clark sisters were, it wouldn't have mattered because you guys really told a story about these women's lives that made sense outside of them just being in music or just being singers or whatever the case might be. Just watching it, you can, you know what I'm saying, take something from that for life, out of your own life, and apply it. Or you might see something in the movie that applied to you because we all have family issues or problems or whatever the case might be. So it was really something, everybody could take something from, not just somebody who likes gospel, but anybody. That was the beauty of it.
That it really was. And the numbers don't lie.
That's right.
It was literally the #1 rated television movie of 2020, just period.
Yeah.
The numbers were just way up there. And it's crazy. I think about that time, and it was it was a strange time because so much great things were happening for me personally, but it was in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was right when the pandemic started. So it was, I don't know if you remember, it was Easter weekend. And like March, I remember the last thing I recorded was the Dorinda Clark Cole show in Ohio. And that was literally the last thing I did. And I was on my way. We were going to do all this promo, all this press for the movie. And one by one, this got canceled, that got canceled. We couldn't, it was like a domino effect. And so that was, I'm not going to lie, that was difficult. It was
right.
It was very difficult. This was something that we all worked so hard on. And we wanted to be able to now, experience, the rush of the red carpets and going to all these award, shows, it nominated for a Critics' Choice Award. It was for an NAACP nomination. So we would have been going to all those things,
Yeah.
But we weren't, they ended up being virtual, and, we were even having to promote it virtually. But the blessing of that is because everybody was stuck at home.
There you go.
The numbers had skyrocketed, so you had Snoop, tweeting about it, Taraji, and I mean, everybody was live tweeting about this movie. Everybody was locked in that moment, and it ended up being a blessing in disguise in some ways. I'm not going to say not always, because it was a struggle in some other things, and I think a setback in some other things, or I shouldn't say a setback. It wasn't able to, I think, propel forward as much as it could have. But I'm still grateful. And to me now, we were wearing masks. Now it's like it seems like we're almost out of it to where we don't have to wear masks.
Yeah.
So people are starting to recognize me,
Exactly.
And I didn't know that because, after we were still wearing masks.
Yeah.
But, I was in, I'll be in the mall. Someone said, like, oh my God, did you play Dorinda Clark Cole? I was in New York a couple months ago and somebody yelled across. I'm in Manhattan, Sheléa! And I'm like, oh my God. So, starting to see the impact.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and that is really rewarding.
But that's how you know when you've done something right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You've done it, because if that was the case, if you did something wrong, they definitely wouldn't be calling it like that.
That's true.
So you're good. You know what I'm saying? I rather much have them call your name in that way. Yeah. So thank God for that. But you guys definitely did an awesome job. And shout out to Christine Swanson as well, the director. I have Christine on Facebook.
Dr. Holly Carter, who really
yes, and Dr. Holly as well.
For so many years, and it finally came out when it was the right time.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. Though we sometimes look at it like, oh my God, why is this happening? Oh, wow, this just ruined everything. But it happens for a reason. I tell you no lie, because when I saw the numbers for that movie, I was like, what? I was amazed. Not because it's like I'm thinking nobody will tune in, but it's like, wow, this is getting bigger numbers than some of these award shows. And,
absolutely.
Come on now.
Absolutely.
Come on now.
You ain't talking, you talking right. and I think what was also incredible at the same time is you saw really the impact of the Clark sisters.
That's right.
Yes, as the gospel community knows them and loves them, has been celebrating them for a long time. But when you got people like Queen Latifah and Missy Elliott and Mary J. Blige all having a story about how the Clark sisters had impacted their life. Mary J. Blige was like, I'm alive because of you guys. I would listen to music when I would be feeling like I didn't even want to be here anymore.
That's right.
Mary J. Blige, Queen Latifah said, you guys make me a better actor. I would listen when I need to tap in on an emotional level, I would listen to you guys, And Missy Elliott, same story. She said, one of my first cars, I would be bumping the Clark sisters. So, you see the impact, of Jay-Z putting them, in his music. And
that's right.
And their collaborations with all these other different artists, Jermaine Dupri and all that. You really see that it wasn't just a gospel thing. And you even saw in the movie, it wasn't just a gospel thing. I mean, they were on the R&B charts and being played in clubs, because people just loved the music. And I think we saw that a lot more people were aware and loved the Clark sisters than I think we realized. And been impacted by them. And like you said, I thought that was a great point. Their story was universal. And so whether or not you like gospel music, or even if you're a Christian or not, you connected with the story. You walked away, I think, uplifted in any small way. I think you got something from that movie.
Yeah. And you know what? Excuse me. I think a lot of people, like you said, saw the impact, and it brought people together for one moment and one time for one specific reason. That was the great thing about it, because sometimes you might get somebody here on Monday say, hey, I love you. And you might get somebody over here on Saturday and say, hey, I love you. But on Wednesday, you might feel like nobody really loves what I do. Nobody's listening to what I do, or, that kind of thing. But to have all those people at one time say, okay, we can show our appreciation to these people because they've impacted us in this way, or we listen to their music, or whatever the case might be, that was the great thing about it. And I have to say that Twinkie herself is a musical genius, especially with the songs that she has written for the group over the years. And just where she was musically in tune with, because who would have thought to use a Stevie Wonder track for a gospel, song?
Yeah, absolutely.
that's like, but I always tell people all music is connected, believe it or not. R&B takes from gospel takes from R&B, country takes from R&B takes from country, like all these different genres take from each other. So, and you even had people saying, I remember watching their Unsung saying they were on the dance floor off of You Got the Sunshine, and stuff like that. I remember Dorinda saying on there that the man from Studio 54 offered their mom money for them to come down, just sing the song at the club. Like this, how impactful this was. At the time, and it's still now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but I still listen to those ladies all the time, especially like A Praying Spirit. Like, come on now.
Absolutely.
You can't go wrong with stuff like that, especially their old stuff. I love the new stuff too. Don't get me wrong, but
I like it all.
Listen,
I'll be married. I'm getting ready. I'll be putting that on. I'll be like, hey, the fact that they've still been able to maintain relevancy, you know, all these years later is really saying something.
Yeah. Okay, so thankful for the Clarkists. I love them. Shout out to them. But I got to talk about some more music with you, so I got to get off this. But one thing I did want to talk about is this performance that you did with Stevie Mackey. With this Through the Fire. Listen, I don't know how one person can really not necessarily sound like the artist, because that's not what you're trying to do, but embody a song and still give that same emotion, that same feeling, and hit right on cue as far as notes is concerned. Mm-hmm. Like, how in the world can you do it? I even saw you, pause a little bit before you got to that, hump, but you still made it. That's right.
Because this is the thing, I came to, it was just a little, get together at his home that he does so many times. But this was kind of one of the big ones. He had partnered up with a really popular page on IG. They Have the Range.
Oh yeah, I love them.
So it was like a Taco Tuesday meets They Have the Range, and so it was, it was quite a bit of people there. So I was just there just to kind of hang.
Okay.
And and so of course Stevie saw me in the audience, and he's just kind of like, so when you just have to do a shotgun song off the cuff, you're just like, okay, Lord, am I gonna hit the note? Am I gonna hit the note on today? But I will say this, I have become so intimate with my gift and with my instrument.
Yeah.
I know how to get there.
Right.
To get there, even if I have to kind of like navigate. I'll still get to my destination, even if I have to go a different way. And so that, again, I tell people there's really no shortcuts to that. You just have to just do it over and over and over again. Becoming intimate with your gift, knowing what it feels like physically, and all of that for a note to come out the air, the support that it needs. Not over singing to be sharp, and then not under singing to be flat. So
right.
you have to hit that note, really straight as an arrow, especially, that those particular notes that Shaka just does,
Yeah.
So that was a good time. That ended up being a really good time. There was a lot of people in the audience that day. It was Jennifer Lopez. She's one of my favorites. She's such a sweetheart. And who else? The funny girl who I absolutely love. She was for a while. You know who I'm talking about. For some reason, the names are just kind of.
Was it Leslie?
Leslie, yes, Leslie, who I absolutely adore.
Oh wow! I didn't know Leslie was there. Matter of fact, Leslie was one of my first interviews ever. When I started, no, not one. She was the first. Matter of fact, in 2012, when me and my cousin started doing this, she was the first interview we ever had. Right before she went to SNL. Matter of fact.
That's incredible. She's such a genuine, loving person, and she really she posted it, and she was just so kind. There was a lot of people there that night. I think I heard Tamar was there. It was like a star-studded. Jonathan McReynolds, my buddy, he was there. I love Jonathan, and I mean, honestly, it was a lot of people there, and they all showed me love, man. I mean, they really, and I've seen some people out, and they'll be like, "Are you the girl who sang?" I'm like, yes. So that one definitely made its rounds too. That was my first little semi-viral TikTok moment. So it got a couple million on TikTok. So that was cool.
That's cool to say a couple. You got a couple M's under your belt. That's cool. Okay, I see it. I see it. It's okay. All right. But no, that was awesome though. To be able to feel music organically and have somebody like you to be able to sing it and be, in the pocket. That's something that's so, rare. now, especially I think now, especially because a lot of people don't even sing live all the time. You know, they have added stuff and
Well,
you know they want to throw up dancers or the track or don't get me wrong, sometimes it's helpful for the person, but sometimes you just want to have somebody sit on the stage, sit down and say, let me sing this song.
absolutely. Yes, it's good to have stems, not only even vocally, but even instrumentally. Sometimes, you have it to kind of make the sound bigger and more for the space that you're singing for. But the mic's always on, honey.
Okay.
The mic is on. I'm not gonna shy away from that. That's
Yeah.
a big part of who I am, is to be able to flat-footed and very organically be able to just to sing.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
That's a gift that has come directly from God. And so, I'm going to give it to you in its purest form. Absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, I'm willing to sacrifice anybody or anything that I have to make it to one of these, because this is outrageous, the singing that y'all have going on. I even seen Stephanie Ferret at one of them. That's crazy. Like, what's going on? If they call you again, Sheléa, to say, if Stevie calls you again and say, listen, we're doing, I need you to just clear everything out of your mind and just be like, you know what? Let me get in contact with Tony, because I know he will die to get over here right now.
Absolutely. You got to be now. Where are you based, if you don't mind me?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, I was just in Miami.
I know. You were literally a couple of blocks from my house, matter of fact, and I missed the show because I was somewhere else. So I couldn't come, but I wanted to come so bad.
Next time, I had such an incredible run in Florida.
We
started off in Blue Note, New York, and then we came all the way down throughout Miami, West Palm Beach, Sarasota, toured, and we had a really, really good time.
Yeah, I knew that. I know, how you sing already, so I wanted to go so bad, but we were somewhere else that day. But I was like, I'm going to interview her, so that'll be good. But I wanted to come so bad. But when you come back again, I promise I will be right there, front and center.
Absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah, but I want to talk about some music of yours. I've seen that you released a single, Grace, last year, that I wanted to talk about, because listening to this song just really provided me something that I think the world needs right now, especially in times like these. And the lyrics are so simple, but so meaningful. So just talk to me about the creation of this song and where it came from for you. Because for me, it has, just listening to it was really like inspirational without ever saying anything remotely close to that. But I got that feeling with, can I get a little grace?
Well,
can I get a little empathy? Like, come on now.
Well, thank you so much for connecting with the song. It's one of those songs that it's crazy. I never get tired of singing it. It's I've been doing it a lot in my shows, and a lot of times it's like the standout moment in the show. Even though some people are hearing it for the very first time, I feel like that's what's so special about this song, is that it gets you right away.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be too preachy, but I wanted it to just feel personal and really easy to digest the message. And so basically, I wrote it during the pandemic with two incredible songwriters, Steph Fink and Jason Gleave. And I was just kind of talking about just what I was seeing, just on social media, just this whole idea of cancel culture and it just the way people were talking to each other. And I was just like, man, this has gotten really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's gotten really bad, just how we're treating each other. And then I also started looking about just that inner voice that I was talking to myself in. During the pandemic, there would be times where I was doing my virtual shows, and by God's grace, I was able to pivot and do a lot of things. I think a big part is because I was a musician. Many shows I was doing in my bedroom, you know. So in a lot of ways, you know, I continued to work. I was continuing to do a lot of pretty cool, you know, musical things
Yeah,
where it really hit a lot of people in my industry really hard, amongst other industries.
of course.
But so yeah, there would be times I would wake up and I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And then there were times where it would be hard to even get out of bed, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And for those moments, it's just like I found myself sometimes being hard on myself, and I was like, I need to give myself some grace right now,
Yeah,
because we are all going through this at the same time, and it's all hitting us in different ways for different reasons, you know, all the loss that we were experiencing. And so I was sharing this with Steph and Jason. And so during the session, I just kind of asked rhetorically, I said, sometimes you just get to a point where you say, can I get a little grace?
right.
And that we built it around that question. And I always say it takes humility. You have to put away pride to ask somebody for grace, you know.
That's right.
Because it's acknowledging that you're not making the mark that you think you should be making, or whatever was expected of you, or whatever. But you need somebody to say, here's a little grace for you.
That's
And
right.
so, but don't stop there. Just the same grace that you need, same grace that somebody else needs, because literally we're all doing the best we can. We are all struggling in one way or another.
That's right.
And we all need that grace. And to me, that's where that song was born out of. It was just this sentiment. I just wanted to remind people, like, man, if we all became agents of grace, like things will be so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So different. And another little thing that happened is that it was the realization that at some point in all of our lives that we will be both the victim and the villain in somebody's story.
That's right.
And
come on now.
Characters.
Come on now.
Grace, you know, and so just the same way where I'm feeling like I was hurt by someone, and I'm seeing, you know, certain blessings that are happening for them, and I'm like, oh honey, somebody's looking at you the same way.
That's right. That's right.
Like, Lord, you really blessing Sheléa? Really? So you didn't see what she did, you know. So it's just that awareness to really have humility.
Yeah.
To be able to not only receive grace, it takes humility to receive grace. It takes humility to give grace.
That's right. That's right. But you know what? I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you came out with this song, because this is something that I have learned now to be very intentional about. When seeing something that somebody else is going through, even if it's something, you know, on the news or something, sometimes you really have to just sit back and say, hold on, before I pass judgment on this person, what was really going on? What's happening there that, you know, caused this person to do this or to make it here? Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain acts where you're like, this person is a monster. Oh, you know, and sometimes I agree, don't get me wrong, depending on what it is, but you also have to have that human, you know, thought there, like, wait a minute, well, something caused you to get here, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It's not like you just woke up and said, hey, I wanted to kill somebody, or I wanted to, you know, commit an act against somebody's child, or whatever the case might be. You know, now, of course, you're being punished for whatever it is, but
that's right.
You need grace like I need it, because just like it is you today that I'm watching on the news saying, wow, that man killed his wife, or that lady killed her husband. It could be me, because I could reach my breaking point and I might black out, and here I am.
We all got our moments, honey. Snapped is a real thing.
That's right.
You might not even be, you know, aware. You know, I think you realize just the frailty of humanity is
yes.
We're all so weak, and I think the strongest person is the one who acknowledges his weakness.
That's right.
You know,
yes.
And you're right. Everybody has a story, and you don't know what those circumstances led to that. But there's also boundaries, and the Bible does say to be to be gentle as a dove, but also to be wise as a serpent as
That's
well.
right.
So there is balance. So just because you have forgiven someone or have extended grace, that doesn't mean that a reconciliation even needs to take place. You know, sometimes it's just a forgiveness. You might have to love them from a distance. You can reconcile in your heart, but the relationship may have to change.
Exactly.
Based on what was done. And that's when wisdom comes in, you know, what's the other word I'm looking for? Discernment. You know,
that's it.
And I believe the Spirit will help lead us in those things. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's about the core word is humility, and basically not saying you have done something so heinous and so awful that I can't even relate to that. It's like we are all capable of doing some dark stuff.
That's right.
If the situation presents itself, or if your circumstances are of such to where you feel like this is all you can do.
That's right.
And there's so many layers to this, and so to acknowledge that we're all human and we all need God's grace.
That's right. And you said it perfectly though. Sometimes people don't realize you can only take so much as a person, and a lot of times people try to pack things on you along with yourself packing things on you, and before you know it, you're somewhere you might not want to be, or you're in a situation that you don't even think about. You're like, you look around, you're like, God, how did I get here? You know, how did time pass and I'm sitting in a spot where I haven't moved yet? Or how am I homeless today when I just had a house, I had a car, I had a family yesterday? You know what I'm saying? I watch, matter of fact, just to put this in perspective, there's a guy on TikTok that I watch. I think his thing is Glow Jays or something like that. And he literally just goes around and does interviews with people that are homeless. And
I saw that. I saw that. Absolutely.
Listen, I'm telling you.
Deep. That is deep.
I'm telling you. I'll be in here in this room watching those sometimes. I'm telling you no lie. Even if I need to be humbled for a minute, I go and watch those videos. Outside of just watching them on my own, because listening to these people's stories and hearing them.
They had a life before this.
Exactly. But us as people who have, something, we look at those people like, oh, look at them. They're this or they're that. But it's not always that, You don't know what happened for that person to get there. And you don't even realize that you're probably just a step or two away from being right there. But God kept you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that he's not keeping them either, because they're still alive. Don't get it wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't get it wrong. But we really have to sometimes just sit back and think about stuff. And that's something that like I said, I'm being intentional on now, especially since this pandemic. Like years ago, I always tell people this, like I dealt with depression. And I had a situation with my own father. Like, I was like, you abandoned us. You did this. He and my mother were married. They were together for a long time. But after a while, they separated, and then we separated. And I used to blame him before. And until after a while, I was like, I'm tired of carrying this on me. I just want to forgive you. So I just told him one day, I said, I just need you to say I'm sorry. And it took a while, and he finally said, I'm sorry. But when he said it, I broke in that moment. And ever since then, I let that go. And like, I don't carry anything from that. Like, I still love him, everything. When I see you, we talk, we're fine. When I call you, that's fine. But all that, the anger, the guilt, the hurt, anything, it broke immediately. And not only that, but I realized later, I said, I can't blame you, because I had a conversation with my grandmother, his mother. Another lady that we called our grandmother actually, raised him. But I had a conversation with his biological mother, who we have known all our lives. Don't get us wrong. But I had a conversation with her. And in that conversation, she said some things to me that I was like, really? And to put it like this, it made me say, I see exactly what happened now. I see where this kind of thing is coming from because of this person or these situations. So now I'm really going to just extend you some grace, whether you know it or not. I'm not going to say it out loud probably, but I understand on a deeper level now where you are or why you are because the way you are
Yes.
because of this now. So I get it. You're all right. I get it. I won't be a fool, don't get me wrong, but I understand now. And that's something that's helping me to move further along with relationships with people, period, is just to simply understand, like, okay, I got it.
Yep.
So,
And sometimes that's all the person needs is understand.
yeah.
It's somebody that says, you know what? I understand now why this happened or why
Mhm.
hearing this or why you reacted this way. I know for me, I you know, I'm a middle child, and so you know, you want everything to be fair, and you want,
Yeah.
you know, and you grow up and you realize life is just not fair, honey. But I think a real core need, I think for all of us, and sometimes more us more than others, is
Mhm.
is you just want somebody to understand.
That's right.
You just want someone to understand your choices. You know,
Yeah.
even the good and the bad. Like, you know, I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think that's great. That I think your relationships will. Um, I think you'll enjoy your relationships a lot more because it takes the
Right.
pressure off. You know,
Right.
when you approach it with that grace and with that understanding and being able to say, okay, well, let me try to put myself in your shoes and see how you've been living and see how you do
Mhm.
this. It makes a
Listen,
difference.
it definitely does. I worked in healthcare, and still do anyway. Before, but people used to say, like, used to have people call angry, and things like that. I used to always just step down to their level,
Yeah.
not necessarily to go back and forth with them, but I would just simply, I would lower my tone of voice, and I would speak to them very softly, and then I would just go in and be like, you know what, I completely understand. You're right.
Yeah.
I completely understand, but let me tell you what needs to happen.
Right. Right.
So let's both help each other. I want you to know that I'm right here with you. I'm not ignoring you, but
Mhm.
let me step down here on your level so you can see that I actually care. But
Yeah.
here's what can happen from here.
Sure.
And then we can get somewhere beyond what you just expect or yell about or whatever the case may be, because now we both have an understanding of, okay, somebody is listening to me. I don't have to worry about saying I called 5 times before and something didn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's actually hearing my concern. Okay, let me work with them.
For sure. For sure.
So that has definitely always helped me, and I thank God for that, because not everybody has that, or the ability to do that. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the patience. They're like, okay, you're mad, so what do you want me to do?
Right.
So I try not to be that person, because one day it could be you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a doctor's office or whether it's the bank or wherever you might call, it might be you that want to be that person to go off, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. This is not this person's fault. They had nothing to do with this. Let me explain what's going on, and then you tell me how you can help me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go from there. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But grace is definitely needed in this world. So thank you so much for that song as a whole. And I want to talk about your last project too, really quickly. Well, it didn't have to be quickly, but I don't want to keep you all day. But Pretty World, a tribute to Alan and Marilyn Bergman, which is a fantastic album. And you had people like Kirk Whalum on here, and Stevie and Take Six. A tremendous, not tremendous, but a great body of work, I would say, which, like everything that you do. So talk to me about the creation of this project, and why it was necessary for you.
Yeah, you know, I met Alan and Marilyn Bergman at this event that ASCAP does every year called We Write the Songs. And
Mm-hmm.
basically the songwriters sing their biggest hits instead of the artist, you know, so
Okay.
it would be equivalent to David Foster singing I Have Nothing instead of Whitney, you know.
Right.
So, and so it was a really cute event. So I was there with Narada. Narada was a part of it, and so I was doing some of the Whitney stuff. I did the song he did for Aretha as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for that event, and so Alan was doing "Windmills of Your Mind" because he wrote that. That was what they actually got their very first Oscar for, was for that song "Windmills of Your Mind," and so I loved them as songwriters for so long. They wrote like The Way We Were for Barbra Streisand. They wrote Nice and Easy for Frank Sinatra. So, I mean, they actually wrote the theme, the lyrics to the theme Good Times.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that. So anyway, so I had this chance meeting with them, and I told them I just loved them so much. I loved their songwriting, and there's this particular film called Yentl that Barbra Streisand not only starred in but directed. Mm-hmm. So they got another Oscar for that work. And I mentioned this song, Will Someone Ever Look at Me That Way? That was from that project. And I told them how much I love that song. They were like, that is such an unusual choice. They're like, how do you know this? You're too good. Like, I'm telling you, I've studied your music. And so Narada is right there. He said, she should sing it for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We go into this little conference room that has a piano, and I sing and play the song. The only problem is I have never played it before. When am I going to see the Bergmans again? When am I going to? So honey, I took it and I ran and I pulled up the lyrics and I sang it, and I remember opening my eyes and I saw them both cry.
Wow.
I hadn't heard that song in 30 plus. And so they're like, sing it again. And so Narada was like, she should do an album of your songs. And they're like, yeah. And I live in I'm in the LA area, so I'm just like, I know LA talk,
Right, of course.
Hollywood talk. So to be honest, I thought they were Hollywood talking me. Like, okay. Great idea. Yeah. In the moment, I knew that they were really touched by it, but honey, by the time I got home, they had handpicked 13 songs from the catalog, some songs that had never been released before.
Wow.
And that's how we came up with the project Pretty World, a tribute to Alan and Marilyn Bergman. And it really was just my love letter to them,
mm-hmm.
just how much I love them. We actually lost Marilyn about 2 months ago. She was 94, I think, and and Alan, I think he's 96 or 97, and they were just this beautiful married couple that wrote the most beautiful, like you said, just profound yet simple lyrics that just could tell a story in such an incredible way. And so I was so grateful to have all my angels on there, all my boys. Kirk Whalum, who has, he believed in me, from the very beginning. We met and he took me all around the world. I was on his Grammy Award-winning The Gospel According to Jazz, mm-hmm. and just all of the places he took me with him. That's when I went to Africa for the first time, and Japan, and and so he was on there. And then Take Six, who, again, as I told you earlier from the very beginning, I feel like they kind of gave me my first biggest break of being on their record, and Stevie hearing. And then, of course, Stevie, who, just took me all around as well. I was on his tour, Songs in the Key of Life tour, and he was very instrumental in me performing at the White House the first time. And
mm-hmm.
He has been such an angel in my life. And so, and then Greg Fillinganes, he's also on there, and Stevie Mackey is on there. That's right. I've been singing with Stevie since I was 13, 14, 15 years old,
Wow.
All our lives. And so that record meant a great deal to me, and to have all those collaborations that also, people who really mean something very personal to me, was really great. And I also want to just include a song that I just released last month with Corey Henry, who I consider to be honestly, he's probably one of the most gifted humans on the planet. He's on tour right now as well. And we wrote this song during the pandemic as well, called Still in Love. And so it's available right now on Bandcamp. but we will be releasing it, streaming it to everything, Apple Music, Spotify, and all of that very soon. But that's another song that I've been kind of including in my shows that that I'm really proud of. And then one more, we're talking about original music.
Yeah.
Is a song I wrote called "You Are Enough," and it's basically a term that I coined called a song formation. It's an affirmation set to music, and I have literally had people all over the world send me covers of this song, and I'm really, really proud of it, especially with in light of just mental health and just how the awareness of that has been. We're seeing there's a lot of people who are struggling right now.
Absolutely.
Especially with isolation, and so I have people who have inboxed me and DM'd me and said, I was going to commit suicide to your song, and I decided to hold on a little bit longer. Others, I listen to this song every morning. I wake up to it and I go to sleep to it. It reminds me, you are enough. You have everything you need. It's already in you. And it's a very, very simple song. It's literally 2 lines. But it's something that you can sing to yourself and encourage yourself, because sometimes that's all you have.
That's right. That's right.
And so so those are, and I'm eager to put out new music as well. I've been doing some writing, and there's even some songs that I have already written, ready for the queue.
Okay.
So I said this year, 2022, I'm going to release a lot more music. And so I've already released Still in Love with You. We released it around Still in Love. The chorus says Still in Love with You, but the actual title is called Still in Love.
Right.
We released that this past Valentine's Day.
Okay.
And I am determined in at least a month and a half to have another song.
Okay.
Out there, and I just want to keep putting music out, and then we'll see. We might look up and have an EP. So
that's right. That's right. No, but that's a blessing, though. I'm glad that you are working on new stuff. As far as acting, though, are you doing anything right now as far as that?
I have done a few auditions that I have really enjoyed, just the audition process. But there's something that Christine Swanson told me that I have not been able to shake. And she said, your first role is just as important as your second role. Your second role is just as important as your first role. And so I really am wanting to be very strategic in the next role that I do, because I want it to be very, very different than the very thing that I starred in. And so I know that when it's the right project, the right time, we deal with a lot of rejection in this business, and you can still be great, but you're just not what they're looking for. And of course. So, I'm just trying to stay in there, and just when that right role comes along, that I'll be ready for it. And I'm definitely hoping to continue my acting career.
Yeah, okay. Definitely, because I know people are looking for it.
I loved it.
I know people are looking for it, especially after seeing that role. So we're definitely looking for that. I wanted to ask you one thing, though, about this song. I'm Sure It's You. So, of course, you got to list it as the wedding song, which is a beautiful song. I love it. Yes. But this intro reminds me of like Natalie Cole. For some reason, it almost sounds like, I think it's Our Love or something. Was that on purpose, or did you even notice that at all?
I didn't notice that, but I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to listen to that now. Absolutely. Yeah, I could absolutely hear that. But no, at the time that wasn't. That was just, it's that song has become really, really special to me over the years, because it represents a lot of eras for me. So I just got married December 31st, to just the most
congratulations,
amazing man, Dr. Philip McDonald. Fell in love with, but I was married before, and so this was both of our second marriages, and we both feel so grateful that we were able to find love again. And in my first marriage, I was married to an incredible man as well, great guy. It's just, sometimes things just don't work out.
Of course.
And so I actually wrote that for my first wedding.
Okay.
And so, of course, when I first wrote it, when you're in love, it's like, it's great to sing it, but when you are no longer together and people still love the song and they want you to sing the song,
yes.
It was difficult times, and so now it's kind of come so full circle where in some ways I feel like that's almost one of my best known original songs because it has been sung at weddings literally around the world. I just got a video yesterday that somebody sent anniversary and they've got I'm Sure It's You. And so I've made peace with that song,
Okay.
I've come to terms with that. And I'm so blessed by the fact that it has been such a blessing to others.
Yeah.
It's really been, and I think at the core of it, we all want someone to say, I'm sure it's you. In a world of so much uncertainty, we want somebody to be able to look at us in our eyes and say, I'm sure that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And so I think it strikes a chord in people.
That's right.
And it was a beautiful song for me. And it's been a beautiful song for countless brides and grooms around the world. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, for it and for the ability to be able to not harbor it for yourself or within yourself. Yeah. Because of personal, because I know that happens a lot of times though, in one moment you're writing out of experience and then later on it's like, this is trash or, not necessarily trash, but you know what I mean? Because of the way you're feeling.
You don't feel that same way about whoever was the source of inspiration. But that's the power of music. And I think you're always able to find the truth in the story, and it might not be the original truth. And that's what's so incredible. That's going back to the Bergmans really quick. Mm-hmm. They gave me the most incredible compliment one time. Of course, many of their songs they had written specifically for Barbra Streisand. And so a lot of the songs that I sang, she originally did them. So when they heard me sing Will Someone Ever Look at Me That Way, that was the first song I recorded. And they said, we don't even remember Barbara's version anymore. Because now we're hearing your story. That's right. We're not thinking about that's not the connotation anymore. Yeah. Now it's yours because that's what we're experiencing right now. And so that's the same with songs. It's like it can mean so many different things in different seasons of your life. And so yes, even though that song was once very difficult for me to sing because it reminded me of my failure. Right. I was able to rename it. And I was able to still keep that value on it and say, yeah, that might not have been able to be my story in this situation, but look at all these beautiful stories that it's able to be their story. And now I got my own new story, and it even applies to this story. There you go. So I'm glad that I was able to. I'm glad that you said that because you're right. We can kind of bury songs if it hurt us too much. Yeah. But it was almost like I was forced to keep singing it because people kept asking for the And so I was able to work through that and realize that it could be a song of triumph and finding love again and not necessarily failure. So. Yes.
Well, I want to say thank you for your voice as well. If I didn't say that already, just like you said, the Bergmans said they didn't remember, Barbra Streisand's version after hearing you. That's how you know when an artist has truly sat within something and is really singing from themselves, because now it really is yours. There is nothing else. I think of songs like All the Men I Need that Whitney did.
Mm.
And people think that's Whitney's song, but Linda Clifford is an artist who I interviewed before. I actually did that song years before as the original. And when Whitney sung that song to the troops overseas, it was just something about that performance that I was like, it felt like home. It felt like church. It felt like everything that you might have needed. And though she was talking about a man or whomever she had as the inspiration, the song said man, but you really felt like you was like in a church or wherever it might be, because it became so real. It became so spiritual before you.
Yes.
The way that she was singing.
Yes.
So that's when you know somebody is really into what they're doing, because it shines through like that. In the way that you sing the songs that the Bergmans wrote, it shines through like that. Or any song that you sing, really, because like I said, when I heard you do Through the Fire, I was like, oh, okay. Not everybody can do a Shaka Khan song. Even if you take the key and you lower it down to where you might be able to sing it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it comes off that same way.
Yeah.
But you hit it right on the head still. And I was like, oh, okay. I believe what she's saying now about Through the Fire. I can hear this. I believe that.
Yes.
So thank you for your voice and your willingness to be used as a vessel to be able to do that, because in essence, that is acting in itself. And people don't realize that a lot of times, but that really is acting in itself, to be able to embody something that somebody else has even written and to take it on and put on that robe, so to speak, and make people believe what you're saying, even if you don't even believe it sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. You're right on. Absolutely. I tell people, people will forgive if you forgot a lyric. They might even forgive catchiness. But if you tell the truth, if people really feel that vulnerability and they feel the truth in your performance, that will stick with them forever. And we see that countless people, somebody who can sing everything on pitch, all the runs landed, everything, didn't feel a thing.
Yeah.
Didn't feel a thing. And then you have somebody else who might have some pitch issues. But for some reason, there is something, there's that conviction.
Right.
They're able to be vulnerable enough to allow you to see that. And then you have the greats like Whitney and Aretha and Barbara and Shaka, who were so vocally strong and vocally precise, technical, on a technical level, but then also had that conviction and that truth that they were able to, and those are the greats, Luther Vandross, when he sings "A House Is Not a Home," you believe what he's saying. Come on now. So to me that's that. But I tell people all the time, like, don't be so focused on the technical part. Yes, that's important, and you want to hit all your marks, but really it's allowing yourself to be vulnerable and open to share what's in your heart. That's what people will remember. And I want someone to say, I felt something more than you sounded great. I wanted to.
That's right. That's right. I think that you hit it dead on the head with that. And one of the people I just want to mention really quick is people like Gladys Knight. And I know now people are like, oh my God, Gladys Knight is a legend. She's what she is. But I don't think people really realize what Gladys embodied a lot of time vocally. Like it's just amazing with songs like Help Me Make It Through the Night. It's just amazing what she was able to do. And for somebody who's not even like, one of the high pitched singers like a soprano, she
actually has a very small range.
Yeah.
She works those notes, all those notes with that range. She don't need to hit the high note.
Come on now.
She's gonna make that mid feel like it's that high note.
Come on now.
It gives you that payoff.
Yes.
I mean, when she gets something,
that's right.
She's gonna slide up there, but you gonna believe it. You're gonna believe it, and that's always the goal. I think should be.
Yeah, definitely. As an artist, it should. I think so too. People don't realize sometimes that though you're not looking to be, role model or anything like that, a lot of times, sometimes people are looking for you for inspiration or for whatever it might be, not necessarily inspiration, but when they hear a love song from you, they're looking for that because they might not be in love or, different things like that. So, and a lot of times we don't think about that kind of stuff when we're in the moment. You know what I'm saying? That somebody else may benefit from this much more than I am, even if I'm going through something bad or something good doing it. So it's something to really think about. But I have to say, you have it, whatever it is, you have it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You have
And
it.
I so enjoyed sharing this time with you. Thank you so much for just all your kind words and they've just been so encouraging and
Oh yes,
definitely hold them very close. And I've just enjoyed sharing this one with you. I pray that God just continues to enlarge your territory and that you will continue to be able to do what you love with passion and happiness and joy. So I'm
yes.
praying for just everything that you're doing in your life as well. I
Thank
really,
you.
really
Thank
do.
you. I sincerely received that.
Mhm.
And before you go, just let everybody know where they can find you on your like social media sites and your website and things like that.
Absolutely. So I kept it simple for everything, for Twitter, for Instagram, for Facebook, all of that. Just Sheléa Music, Sheléa Music. And that's the same for my website, www.sheleamusic, SHELEAMUSIC.com.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is none other than Sheléa herself. Thank you.
Thank you guys.